think you'll really enjoy. So without further ado, let's begin. Mia Henderson's heels clicked against the pavement as she approached her modest two-story suburban home at 2 a.m. Her hair, usually perfectly coiffed for the evening news broadcast, was slightly disheveled. She ran a finger along her bottom lip, feeling the smudge in her lipstick, a reminder of her passionate encounter with Jake just hours before. The adrenaline from their secret rendezvous still coursed through her veins, making her feel alive in a way she hadn't in years. As she neared the house, however, a flicker of unease rippled through her. All the lights were on, casting a harsh glow onto the manicured lawn, unusual for this hour. Mia hesitated at the front door, her hand hovering over the knob. Something was off. She could feel it in her bones. The same instinct that had served her well as a journalist for over a decade. Taking a deep breath, she pushed the door open. The sight that greeted her made her blood run cold. Her luggage, the expensive set Derek had given her for their anniversary last year, was neatly packed by the front door. Her heart began to race, the pleasant buzz from her earlier tryst evaporating in an instant. With trembling steps, Mia made her way to the living room. There, bathed in the flickering light of the television, sat Derek. Her husband of 17 years was motionless on their worn leather couch, his eyes fixed on the screen. The expression on his face was one Mia had never seen before, a mask of controlled emotion that sent a chill down her spine. As she entered the room, her gaze was drawn to the television, her breath caught in her throat. On the screen, high-definition footage played of her and Jake together at various locations, their secret hideaway exposed in vivid, damning detail. Derek, without looking at her, wordlessly handed Mia a thick envelope. She took it, her fingers numb. Inside, she found a stack of papers, divorce papers. She realized with a sinking feeling in her stomach. Before Mia could form a coherent thought, much less a sentence, movement from the shadows caught her attention. Zoe, their 16-year-old daughter, emerged. Her eyes were red and puffy from crying, and in her arms, she clutched her father's latest glass sculpture, a shattered heart. The symbolism wasn't lost on Mia. Zoe's voice, when she spoke, was raw with emotion. "How could you do this to us?" "To Dad?" she choked out, her words laced with anger and betrayal. "I trusted you, and you lied to my face every single day." Overwhelmed, Mia reached out to touch her daughter, to offer some comfort or explanation. But Zoe recoiled as if Mia's touch would burn her, moving closer to Derek instead. The rejection stung more than Mia thought possible. Derek finally spoke, his voice steady but cold, cutting through the tension like a knife. "We know everything, Mia," he said, each word carefully measured. "There's nothing left to say. Please leave." The finality in his tone left no room for argument. Mia stood there, her world crumbling around her, as the weight of her actions came crashing down. The harsh fluorescent lights of the Pinewood Motel buzzed incessantly, casting an unflattering glow over the shabby room. Mia's designer luggage looked absurdly out of place against the worn carpet and dated furnishings. She sat on the edge of the lumpy bed, her phone clutched in her hand like a lifeline. For the 10th time in as many minutes, Mia dialed Jake's number, and for the 10th time, it went straight to voicemail. Her messages grew increasingly desperate with each attempt. "Jake, please," she pleaded into the phone, her voice cracking. "I need you. Everything's fallen apart. Call me back." The next morning, Mia walked into the WXTV news station, her head held high despite the turmoil inside. She could feel the weight of her colleagues' stares, hear the whispers that followed in her wake. The gauntlet of sideways glances and hushed conversations made her skin crawl. Carol Blackwell, the no-nonsense station manager, called Mia into her office. The meeting was tense, Carol's disapproval palpable as she warned Mia about the potential consequences of the scandal. "This could cost you the lead anchor position, Mia," Carol said, her tone clipped. "We can't have our viewers questioning the integrity of our news team." Desperate to salvage her reputation, Mia pitched an idea. "What if we did a series on workplace relationships?" she suggested, grasping at straws. We could frame it as an examination of modern office dynamics. Carol's raised eyebrows showed exactly what she thought of that idea. As Mia left the meeting, feeling defeated, Jake cornered her in an empty conference room. His face was pale, panic evident in his eyes. "Mia, this is a disaster," he hissed. "My wife is threatening to leave me, and I've been offered a position at a rival network. I'm going to take it." Mia felt the floor drop out from under her. "What? Jake, you can't just abandon me like this. We're in this together." But Jake was already backing away, shaking his head. "I'm sorry, Mia. I really am. But I have to think about my career, my family. Good luck." With that, he was gone, leaving Mia alone in the conference room, the magnitude of her isolation hitting her like a physical blow. Later that evening, unable to face another night in the dingy motel, Mia found herself driving by her old house. She parked across the street, watching through the window as Derek comforted Zoe in the living room. The sight twisted like a knife in her gut, a stark reminder of what she'd thrown away. As she sat there, wallowing in her misery, Mia noticed something that made her heart skip a beat. There were moving boxes in the garage. Derek was serious about the divorce, serious enough to be planning a relocation. Panic rising in her throat, Mia fumbled for her phone. She tried to call Derek's cell, only to find that the number had been disconnected. Every usual method of contact had been severed, leaving her adrift and alone. In the backyard studio of what was once their shared home, Derek channeled his pain into his art. The sound of shattering glass filled the air as he worked, creating a series of jagged, fractured sculptures. Each piece was a physical manifestation of the turmoil within him, beautiful in its brokenness. As he worked, his phone rang. Derek paused, wiping his brow with the back of his hand before answering. The voice on the other end belonged to Olivia Chun, curator of the prestigious Ellison Gallery in New York. "Mr. Henderson," Olivia's cultured voice came through the speaker. "I've been following your work, and I must say, your new direction is compelling. We'd like to offer you a chance to showcase your pieces in an upcoming exhibition. We're calling it Emotional Landscapes." Derek's hand tightened on the phone. It was an incredible opportunity, one that could launch his career to new heights. But was he ready to bare his soul to the world through his art? Meanwhile, across town at Westfield High School, Zoe Henderson was facing her own battles. The hallways buzzed with whispered gossip, eyes following her every move. She kept her head down, trying to ignore the stares and murmurs, until a familiar voice cut through the noise. "Hey, Zoe, how's your mom enjoying her new boy toy?" Zoe whirled around to face Amber, her former best friend. Amber's smirk was cruel, her eyes glittering with malicious glee. Something in Zoe snapped. "Shut up," she screamed, lunging at Amber. The two girls grappled, a tangle of flailing limbs and flying hair. It took two teachers to pull them apart, both girls disheveled and panting. "Principal's office. Now!" One of the teachers barked, his grip firm on Zoe's arm as he marched her down the hallway. Later that afternoon, Derek sat across from Ms. Rodriguez, Zoe's English teacher. The concern in her eyes was evident as she slid a folder across the desk towards him. "Mr. Henderson, I'm worried about Zoe," Ms. Rodriguez began gently. "Her grades have been plummeting, and she's become increasingly isolated. Today's incident with Amber is just the latest in a series of concerning behaviors." Derek nodded, his heart heavy. He knew Zoe was struggling, but he hadn't realized the extent of it. As he left the school, lost in thought, a familiar car in the parking lot caught his eye. Mia's sleek sedan was parked near the entrance, and Derek's jaw clenched as he realized she was trying to contact Zoe directly. He quickened his pace, reaching Zoe just as she exited the school. Mia was there, her eyes wide and pleading as she approached their daughter. "Zoe, sweetie, please," Mia begged, reaching out. "Just give me a chance to explain." Zoe recoiled, her face a mask of hurt and anger. "Stay away from me." Derek stepped between them, his presence calm but unyielding. "Mia," he said, his voice low and controlled, "you need to leave. now. Mia opened her mouth to argue, but something in Derek's expression made her think better of it. She backed away, watching helplessly as Derek guided Zoe to their car. As they drove home, the silence in the car was heavy. Then, without warning, Zoe broke down. Sobs racked her body as she poured out her fears and pain to her father. "I'm so scared, Dad," she choked out between tears. "What if she leaves us forever? What if you leave too?" Derek pulled over, turning to face his daughter. His heart broke at the sight of her pain, a pain he knew all too well. "Zoe," he said softly, taking her hands in his, "I will never leave you. We're going to get through this together, I promise." As Zoe cried herself out, Derek held her close, his own tears falling silently. They sat there, father and daughter, clinging to each other in the face of their shattered world, finding strength in their shared love and pain. 3 months had passed since the night Mia Henderson's world imploded. The crisp autumn air carried a sense of change, much like the shifting colors of the leaves in the Hendersons' backyard. In his studio, Derek stood before his latest creation, a jagged masterpiece of fractured glass that seemed to capture the very essence of betrayal and rebirth. The phone rang, breaking the contemplative silence. Derek wiped his hands on his work apron before answering. "Mr. Henderson, this is Olivia Chun from the Ellison Gallery," came the cultured voice on the other end. "I'm calling to discuss your new sculpture series, Shattered Reflections. It's become quite the talk of the art world." Derek's grip on the phone tightened. He'd poured his pain into these pieces, never expecting them to resonate so deeply with others. "We'd like to offer you a solo exhibition," Olivia continued. "This could be a pivotal moment for your career, Mr. Henderson. It could launch you to national recognition." The offer hung in the air, tantalizing and terrifying in equal measure. Derek's mind raced. This was the opportunity of a lifetime, but at what cost? I'll need to think about it," he managed, his voice rough with emotion. "My daughter, Zoe. I need to consider how this might affect her." "Of course," Olivia replied smoothly. "Take your time. But not too much time, Mr. Henderson. Opportunities like this are rare." As Derek hung up, he heard the front door open and close. Zoe was home from school. He found her in the kitchen, rifling through the fridge. "Hey, kiddo," he said, leaning against the doorframe. "How was school?" Zoe shrugged, her face hidden behind the refrigerator door. Same old, same old. You know how it is." Derek sighed. He did know. The past 3 months had been hard on both of them, but especially on Zoe. The whispers at school, the pitying looks from teachers, the sudden absence of her mother. It had all taken its toll. "Listen, Zoe," he began hesitantly. "I got a call today from a gallery in New York. They want to give me a solo exhibition." Zoe's head popped up, her eyes wide with surprise. "Dad, that's amazing. You have to do it." Her enthusiasm caught Derek off guard. You think so?" "I wasn't sure. I mean, with everything that's happened." Zoe closed the fridge and turned to face her father fully. In that moment, Derek saw a glimmer of the strong, confident young woman she was becoming. "Dad," she said firmly, "you can't put your life on hold because of what Mom did. This is your chance. You have to take it." Derek felt a lump form in his throat. He crossed the kitchen and pulled Zoe into a tight hug. "When did you get so wise, huh?" Zoe laughed, the sound muffled against his chest. "Someone has to be the adult around here." As father and daughter stood there, embracing in the fading afternoon light, Derek felt a spark of hope ignite in his chest. Maybe, just maybe, they were going to be okay. Across town, in the bustling newsroom of WXTV, Mia Henderson was clinging to her job by her perfectly manicured fingernails. The whispers that had started 3 months ago had not died down. If anything, they had grown louder, more insistent. Mia sat at her desk, staring at her computer screen without really seeing it. Her once enviable position as lead anchor now felt precarious at best. She needed something, anything, to turn the tide of public opinion. An idea began to form in her mind. It was risky, potentially disastrous, but it might be her only chance. With newfound determination, Mia marched to Carol Blackwell's office. The station manager looked up as Mia entered, her expression a mixture of wariness and resignation. "What is it, Mia?" Carol asked, not bothering with pleasantries. Mia took a deep breath. "I have an idea for a new series, something that could really resonate with our viewers." Carol leaned back in her chair, skepticism written across her face. "I'm listening." "A series on family reconciliation," Mia said, the words tumbling out in a rush. "We follow families torn apart by betrayal, addiction, or other issues as they try to heal and come back together. It's raw. It's real. It's exactly what people want to see." Carol's eyes narrowed. "And it has nothing to do with your own situation, I'm sure." Mia felt her cheeks flush but held her ground. "My experience gives me unique insight. I know what these families are going through. I can connect with them in a way no one else can." For a long moment, Carol said nothing. Mia held her breath, acutely aware that her entire career hung in the balance. Finally, Carol nodded. "All right, we'll give it a shot. But," she added, her tone sharp, "I'm pairing you with Vince Talbot. He's a hard-hitting producer, known for his uncompromising approach. If we're doing this, we're doing it right. No sugarcoating, no self-serving narratives." "Got it." Mia nodded, relief washing over her. "Understood. Thank you, Carol. You won't regret this." As Mia left the office, her phone buzzed. A text from Jake, her former lover and co-anchor, now working at a rival network. "We need to talk," the message read. "Meet me at our old spot, 8 p.m. Mia's heart raced. She hadn't heard from Jake in months, not since he'd abandoned her to save his own skin. But now, with this new opportunity on the horizon, maybe it was time to take control of their narrative. "I'll be there," she typed back, a plan already forming in her mind. Back at the Henderson house, Derek sat in his study, phone in hand. He'd just finished a call with Dr. Samantha Reeves, an art therapist specializing in adolescent trauma. Her words echoed in his mind. "Art can be a powerful tool for healing, Mr. Henderson," Dr. Reeves had said, "especially when it's a shared experience. Have you considered working on a project with Zoe?" The idea had taken root, growing with each passing moment. Derek found Zoe in her room, headphones on, sketching in her notebook. "Hey," he said, gently tapping her shoulder. Zoe looked up, pulling off her headphones. "I was thinking, how would you feel about collaborating on a piece together? Something big, maybe for the exhibition?" Zoe's eyes lit up, a smile spreading across her face. "Really? You want me to work with you?" Derek nodded, his own excitement growing. "Absolutely. Your photographs, my glasswork. I think we could create something really special." As father and daughter began to plan, sketching ideas and sharing thoughts, a warmth filled the room. For the first time in months, laughter echoed through the house, the sound of healing beginning to take root. The Ellison Gallery buzzed with anticipation. New York's art elite mingled among Derek Henderson's latest creations, champagne flutes clinking as hushed conversations filled the air. Derek's exhibition, Shattered Reflections, A Journey Through Betrayal, had opened to rave reviews, and the energy in the room was electric. Olivia Chun, the gallery's curator, glided through the crowd, her pride evident in the slight upturn of her lips. She paused beside a particularly striking piece, a jagged sculpture of blue and clear glass, its fractured surface catching the light in mesmerizing ways. "Exquisite, isn't it?" she murmured to a nearby art critic. "The raw emotion, the technical mastery, Henderson has outdone himself." The critic nodded, scribbling furiously in his notebook. "It's visceral. You can feel the pain, the anger, but there's something else. Hope, perhaps? Truly remarkable." Across the room, Derek stood with Zoe, both dressed in their finest. Zoe's hand was tucked into the crook of her father's arm, her eyes shining with pride as she watched people react to her father's work. "Dad," she whispered. They love it. Look at them all. Derek squeezed her hand, his throat tight with emotion. We did it, kiddo. We really did it. As they made their way through the gallery, Derek was stopped repeatedly by admirers and potential buyers. Several pieces had already sold for record prices, a fact that left him slightly dazed. Meanwhile, at the back of the gallery, a figure in dark clothing and oversized sunglasses slipped in unnoticed. Mia Henderson's heart raced as she took in the scene before her. The disguise felt ridiculous, but she couldn't risk being recognized, couldn't bear the thought of ruining this moment for Derek and Zoe. She moved through the crowd carefully, her eyes fixed on her former family. Derek looked different, confident, almost radiant. And Zoe, Mia's breath caught in her throat. Her daughter was smiling, really smiling, in a way Mia hadn't seen in years. The reality of what she'd lost hit Mia like a physical blow. She stumbled slightly, bumping into a tall woman with sleek black hair. "Oh, I'm so sorry," Mia mumbled, trying to move past. The woman's eyes narrowed, a flash of recognition crossing her face. "Mrs. Henderson?" she asked, her voice low. Panic seized Mia. She turned, ready to flee, only to find herself face to face with Olivia Chun. The gallery curator's expression was a mixture of surprise and something else, pity. Perhaps? I have to go," Mia choked out, pushing past Olivia and heading for the exit. She didn't stop running until she was several blocks away, her breath coming in ragged gasps, tears streaming down her face. The next morning, as Derek was enjoying a quiet breakfast with Zoe, his phone rang. The caller ID showed a number he didn't recognize. "Hello," he answered cautiously. "Mr. Henderson? This is Sarah from Good Morning America. We'd love to have you on the show to discuss your work and your sudden rise to prominence in the art world. Are you available this week?" Derek nearly choked on his coffee. "I'm sorry. Did you say Good Morning America?" Zoe's eyes widened, a grin spreading across her face. She gave her father an enthusiastic thumbs up. "Yes, sir," Sarah continued. "Your exhibition has caused quite a stir. We think our viewers will be fascinated by your story." Derek took a deep breath, steadying himself. "I'd be honored," he said finally. "Thank you for the opportunity." As he hung up, Zoe launched herself at him, wrapping him in a tight hug. "Dad, this is huge," she exclaimed. "You're going to be amazing." Derek hugged her back, a mix of excitement and nervousness swirling in his stomach. "I hope so, kiddo. I really hope so." The day of the interview dawned bright and clear. Derek sat in the green room, adjusting his tie for the 100th time. A production assistant poked her head in. "Mr. Henderson, you're on in 5. As Derek walked onto the set, the bright lights and multiple cameras momentarily overwhelming him, he took a deep breath. He could do this. He had to do this. The host, a friendly-faced woman named Rebecca, smiled warmly at him. "Welcome, Derek. We're so excited to have you here today. Your exhibition, Shattered Reflections, has taken the art world by storm. Can you tell us a bit about the inspiration behind it?" Derek paused, considering his words carefully. "Life has a way of surprising you, he began, his voice steady. Sometimes, those surprises shatter our world. But I've learned that it's what we do with those broken pieces that truly defines us." As Derek continued to speak, his words flowing more easily now, he found himself talking about resilience, about transformation, about the healing power of art. The audience hung on his every word, captivated by his eloquence and raw honesty. Meanwhile, across town, Mia sat in a dimly lit editing bay with Vince Talbot, watching footage from their latest interview for the Family Reconciliation series. The atmosphere was tense, the air thick with unspoken accusations. On the screen, a middle-aged woman dabbed at her eyes with a tissue. "I just don't understand," she was saying. "How could someone betray their family like that? Don't they realize the damage they're causing?" Mia shifted uncomfortably in her seat, all too aware of the parallels to her own situation. Vince, never one to miss an opportunity, pounced. "You know, Mia," he said, his voice deceptively casual, "I think our viewers would really connect with your story. Have you considered opening up about your own experiences on camera?" Mia's head snapped up, her eyes wide. "What? No, I couldn't." Vince leaned forward, his expression intense. "Think about it. It could be powerful, raw, real. Isn't that what this series is all about?" The idea terrified Mia, but a small part of her wondered if this might be her chance at redemption. With trembling hands, she nodded. "Okay," she whispered. "Let's do it." The resulting segment was indeed raw and real, perhaps too much so. Mia broke down on camera, her carefully constructed facade crumbling as she confronted her mistakes head-on. Within hours of the segment airing, clips of Mia's emotional confession were spreading across social media and gossip sites like wildfire. In his new apartment, Jake watched the footage of Mia's breakdown with a mixture of horror and relief. He dodged a bullet by cutting ties when he did. Watching Mia's public struggles and Derek's rising success, Jake made a decision. With a few quick taps on his phone, he blocked Mia's number and removed her from all his social media accounts. It was time to move on for good. As clips from both Derek's eloquent GMA interview and Mia's emotional breakdown went viral, the public narrative solidified. Derek emerged as the wronged hero, his grace and resilience in the face of betrayal earning him widespread admiration. Mia, on the other hand, found herself cast firmly in the role of disgraced villain, her attempts at redemption viewed with skepticism and derision. The contrast couldn't have been starker, and as both Derek and Mia lay awake that night, staring at their respective ceilings, they couldn't help but marvel at how differently their paths had diverged from that fateful night just a few short months ago. The success of Derek's exhibition and his appearance on Good Morning America had opened doors he never could have imagined. As he sat in his studio, surrounded by half-finished pieces and sketches, an idea began to take shape. He thought back to those first difficult weeks after Mia left, how lost and angry Zoe had been. He remembered the suggestion from Dr. Reeves about art therapy and how working together on their collaborative piece had helped them both heal. With growing excitement, Derek reached for his phone and dialed a number. "Dr. Reeves? It's Derek Henderson. I've been thinking about what you said about art therapy, and I have an idea I'd like to run by you." Over the next few weeks, Derek threw himself into his new project with the same passion he'd poured into his artwork. He reached out to local schools, mental health professionals, and fellow artists, slowly but surely bringing his vision to life. The result was Art Heals, an initiative to bring art therapy programs to local schools. The centerpiece would be a charity auction featuring works from Derek and other prominent artists, with all proceeds going to fund the program. As Derek stood at the podium on the night of the auction, looking out over the crowd of art enthusiasts, educators, and mental health advocates, he felt a surge of pride. "Art has the power to transform pain into beauty," he began, his voice strong and clear. "It can give voice to the unspeakable, form to the intangible. Through this initiative, we hope to give children the tools to express themselves, to heal, and to grow." The response was overwhelming. Bids flew fast and furious, with several pieces, including Derek's, selling for far above their estimated value. By the end of the night, they had raised enough to fund art therapy programs in schools across the state. As Derek mingled with the crowd after the auction, he was approached by a distinguished-looking woman in her 50s. "Mr. Henderson, I'm Dr. Elena Rossi from the Rhode Island School of Design. I was incredibly moved by your work and your speech tonight. We've been following your career with great interest, and I was wondering if you might be open to discussing a potential opportunity with us." Derek's eyebrows shot up. "RISD? Aye, of course. I'd be honored to discuss any opportunity." Dr. Rossi smiled warmly. "Wonderful. We're considering offering you a visiting artist position at RISD. It's a prestigious opportunity that would allow you to share your expertise with our students while continuing your own artistic journey." Derek's mind raced. RISD was one of the top art schools in the country. The opportunity was incredible, but it would mean uprooting their lives once again. He thought of Zoe, of the progress they'd made in rebuilding their lives here. It's an amazing offer, Derek said carefully, but I need to discuss it with my daughter. We've been through a lot, and any major change would affect her too. Dr. Rossi nodded understandingly. Of course. Take your time to consider it. We believe your unique perspective and talent would be invaluable to our students. As Derek drove home, his thoughts swirled with possibilities. He found Zoe in her room, surrounded by photographs spread across her bed. "Hey, kiddo," he said, leaning against the doorframe. "What's all this?" Zoe looked up, her eyes bright with excitement. "Dad, look, I've been working on this series. I'm calling it Through the Cracks." Derek moved closer, examining the photos. They were stunning, poignant images capturing moments of their life over the past few months. Shattered glass juxtaposed with new growth, shadows giving way to light. He felt a lump form in his throat. "Zoe, these are incredible," he breathed. Zoe beamed. "Thanks, Dad. I've been posting them on social media. And guess what? The youth center downtown wants to display them in their upcoming showcase." Derek pulled her into a hug, pride swelling in his chest. "That's amazing, sweetheart. I'm so proud of you." As they separated, Derek took a deep breath. "Listen, Zoe, something happened today that I want to talk to you about." He explained the offer from RSD, watching her face carefully for her reaction. To his surprise, Zoe's eyes lit up. "Dad, that's huge. RSD is like the dream school for artists. You have to do it." Derek chuckled, shaking his head in wonder. "It would mean moving, leaving everything here behind." Zoe's expression grew serious. "I know, but Dad, look at how far we've come. Maybe this is our chance for a fresh start. Together." As they discussed the potential move, Derek's phone pinged with an email notification. His breath caught as he saw the sender, Mia Henderson. The email was brief, almost clinical. "Derek, I'm writing a book about my experiences over the past year. I'd like to include your success story as part of the narrative. Would you be willing to meet to discuss this?" "Mia?" Derek stared at the screen, a tumult of emotions washing over him. Part of him wanted to delete the email immediately, to continue moving forward without looking back. But another part, a part he thought he'd buried, whispered that this might be an opportunity for closure. He showed the email to Zoe, watching her face carefully. She frowned, then looked up at him with a maturity beyond her years. "What do you think, Dad?" she asked softly. Derek ran a hand through his hair, sighing heavily. "I don't know, kiddo. Part of me thinks it's a terrible idea. But another part, maybe this is a chance to finally put everything to rest." Zoe nodded slowly. "Maybe it is. And maybe it's a chance for Mom to understand what she did to us." After a long moment of contemplation, Derek replied to the email. "Mia, I'm willing to meet. Let me know when and where." Derek, as he hit send, Derek felt a weight lift from his shoulders. Whatever came next, he and Zoe would face it together. They had weathered the storm and emerged stronger for it. Now, with new opportunities on the horizon, they were ready to write the next chapter of their story on their own terms. The Bluebird Cafe stood nestled between a boutique bookstore and a trendy coffee shop, its quaint exterior belying the tension brewing within. Mia Henderson sat at a corner table, her fingers drumming an anxious rhythm on the polished wood. She'd arrived early, determined to rehearse her pitch one last time before Derek showed up. Her hair, once perfectly coiffed for the evening news, now hung limp around her face. Dark circles under her eyes spoke of sleepless nights spent agonizing over every word of her book proposal. This meeting was her last chance, her final play to salvage something from the wreckage of her life. Outside, Derek Henderson sat in his car, hands gripping the steering wheel. He'd driven past the cafe twice before finally parking, each circuit an attempt to steel himself for what lay ahead. The weight of the folder on the passenger seat seemed to grow heavier with each passing moment. Inside were the tangible remnants of the pain Mia had caused. Zoe's therapy notes, school reports, snippets of her photography project, a chronicle of betrayal and its aftermath. Taking a deep breath, Derek finally stepped out of the car. He straightened his jacket, a habit from his days as a respected glassblower, now a rising star in the art world. The irony wasn't lost on him. His greatest success born from his deepest pain. As he entered the cafe, the bell above the door chimed softly. Mia's head snapped up, her eyes widening as they met Derek's. For a moment, neither moved, the years stretching between them like an impassable chasm. Derek broke the spell first, moving toward the table with measured steps. He sat down across from Mia, his face a carefully constructed mask of neutrality. "Hello, Mia," he said, his voice steady. Mia swallowed hard, her rehearsed speech suddenly evaporating. "Derek, thank you for coming." An awkward silence settled over them, years of unspoken words hanging in the air. Finally, Mia cleared her throat, launching into her pitch with the desperation of a drowning woman grasping at straws. "I'm writing a book," she began, her voice gaining strength as she spoke. "A journey of self-discovery and redemption. I want to tell the full story of our family's journey, Derek. The good, the bad, the ugly, all of it." Derek listened silently, his face unreadable. Mia pressed on, her words tumbling out faster now. "I know I've made mistakes. Terrible, unforgivable mistakes. But this book, it's a chance to set things right, to explain, to apologize, to show how much I've grown." As Mia spoke, Derek's hand drifted to the folder he'd brought. His fingers traced the edges, feeling the weight of its contents. "Are you finished?" he asked quietly when Mia finally paused for breath. Mia nodded, hope flickering in her eyes. Derek took a deep breath, then spoke, his voice calm but firm. "No, Mia, I won't be part of your book." The hope in Mia's eyes died, replaced by confusion and hurt. "But why?" "This could be our chance to heal, to move forward." "Our chance!" Derek's voice took on an edge. "There is no our anymore, Mia. You made sure of that." He placed a folder on the table, sliding it towards her. "This is why." "Open it." With trembling hands, Mia opened the folder. Her breath caught as she saw the contents, page after page documenting the pain she'd caused. Zoe's therapy notes, filled with anger and confusion. School reports showing plummeting grades. Photographs capturing moments of sadness and loss. "This is the story you're not telling, Mia," Derek said softly. "This is the aftermath of your choices." Mia's composure crumbled. Tears streamed down her face as the full weight of her actions hit her. "I'm sorry," she choked out. "I'm so sorry. Please, Derek, give me another chance. Let me be part of your lives again." Derek remained unmoved by her tears. He'd shed enough of his own over the past months. "Your path to redemption is your own journey, Mia," he said, standing up. "It doesn't involve me or Zoe." As he turned to leave, Derek paused, looking back at Mia one last time. "Find your own masterpiece, Mia," he said quietly. "Stop trying to shatter ours." With that, he walked out of the cafe, leaving Mia alone with the evidence of her betrayal spread out before her. As the bell chimed behind him, Derek felt a weight lift from his shoulders. He'd found his closure, and now it was time to focus on the future, his and Zoe's future. Weeks later, the Westfield Community Center buzzed with excitement. The Art Heals charity auction, Derek's brainchild, was in full swing. The who's who of the art world mingled with local media, all drawn by the promise of exceptional art and a worthy cause. Derek stood near the entrance, greeting guests with a warm smile. He'd come a long way from the broken man he'd been just months ago. Now, he radiated confidence and purpose. Beside him stood Zoe, her eyes shining with pride as she helped present the artworks and share their stories with attendees. Her own photography series, Through the Cracks, had garnered significant attention, earning her a spot in the auction alongside established artists. And here we have Resilience in blue, Zoe explained to a captivated group, gesturing to one of Derek's glass sculptures. My father created this piece as a representation of our journey over the past year. Derek squeezed her shoulder gently, marveling at her poise and maturity. They'd come so far together, their bond stronger than ever. As the evening progressed, Derek took to the stage to address the crowd. He spoke passionately about the importance of art and healing, his words resonating with the rapt audience. Art has the power to transform pain into beauty, he was saying, to give voice to the unspeakable and form to the intangible. Through the Art Heals initiative, we hope to bring that transformative power to those who need it most. Suddenly, a commotion at the entrance drew everyone's attention. Gasps and murmurs rippled through the crowd as a familiar figure pushed past security. Mia Henderson, her eyes wild and her hair disheveled, stormed towards the stage. Derek felt his heart drop, even as he maintained his composure. Before anyone could stop her, Mia grabbed the microphone from Derek's hand. "How dare you?" she spat, her voice echoing through the stunned silence. "How dare you exploit our family's tragedy for your own gain and fame?" The room held its collective breath, all eyes turning to Derek. He stood tall, his face a mask of calm in the face of this unexpected ambush. "Mia," he began, his voice steady and clear, "this isn't about exploitation. It's about transformation. Our pain can become something beautiful, something that helps others." From the corner of his eye, Derek saw movement. Zoe was making her way to the stage, her chin held high. For a moment, fear gripped him. Fear that seeing her mother again would undo all the progress they'd made. But as Zoe reached the stage, she didn't shrink away. Instead, she stood tall beside Derek, facing Mia and the crowd with unwavering resolve. "What Dad has done isn't about you," Zoe said, her voice clear and strong. "It's about growth, about healing. I'm proud of who we've become." Mia's face crumpled, the fight draining out of her as she realized the depth of her miscalculation. She tried to backpedal, to explain, but her words fell on deaf ears. Security guards appeared, gently but firmly escorting Mia from the room. As she was led away, her pleas faded into the background, drowned out by the supportive murmurs of the crowd. Derek turned to Zoe, pulling her into a tight hug. "I'm so proud of you," he whispered. As they separated, Derek became aware of the phones pointed their way, capturing the dramatic scene. He knew that by morning, this incident would be all over social media, cementing public opinion firmly in their favor. But in that moment, none of that mattered. All that mattered was the strength he saw in his daughter's eyes, the unbreakable bond they'd forged through their shared pain and healing. As the auction resumed, the energy in the room had shifted. There was a newfound appreciation for the journey behind the art, a deeper understanding of the healing power of creativity. Bids flew higher than expected, each piece finding a home with someone touched by its story. By the end of the night, as Derek and Zoe stood amid the empty easels and pedestals, they knew they'd accomplished something truly special. They'd turned their pain into purpose, their tragedy into triumph. And as they walked out into the cool night air, arms around each other, they were ready to face whatever came next together. In the weeks following the Art Heals charity auction, Derek Henderson's phone hadn't stopped ringing. The dramatic confrontation with Mia had gone viral, turning what was already a successful event into a nationwide sensation. Schools across the country were reaching out, eager to implement art therapy programs of their own. Mental health professionals praised the initiative, citing the transformative power of creative expression in healing trauma. As Derek sat in his studio, surrounded by half-finished sculptures and sketches for new pieces, his agent, Sarah, burst in waving a stack of papers. "Derek, you're not going to believe this," she exclaimed, her eyes bright with excitement. "We've got offers from 3 major publishing houses. They want you to write a book about your journey of healing through art." Derek leaned back in his chair, running a hand through his hair. "A book? I don't know, Sarah. I'm not a writer." Sarah shook her head, grinning. "That's the beauty of it. They don't want a dry, academic text. They want your story, how you used art to overcome trauma and betrayal, and how others can do the same. As Derek mulled over the idea, he heard the front door open and close. Moments later, Zoe appeared in the doorway of his studio, her face flushed with excitement. "Dad, guess what?" she blurted out before noticing Sarah. "Oh, sorry. I didn't realize you had company." Derek waved her in. "It's just Sarah. What's got you so excited?" Zoe took a deep breath, then announced, "I've decided. I want to apply to art school. Not just any art school. I want to apply to RID." The room fell silent for a moment, then erupted in cheers. Derek enveloped Zoe in a bear hug, his heart swelling with pride. "That's amazing, kiddo," he said, his voice thick with emotion. "You know I'll support you every step of the way." As father and daughter celebrated this new chapter in their lives, across town, Mia Henderson was facing the consequences of her actions. The newsroom of WXTV was abuzz with whispers as Mia was escorted to Carol Blackwell's office. The station manager's face was grim as Mia took a seat across from her. "Mia," Carol began, her voice leaving no room for argument. "After the incident at the charity auction, we have no choice but to terminate your employment. Your actions have irreparably damaged the station's reputation." Mia felt the floor drop out from under her. "Carol, please," she pleaded. "It was a mistake. I can explain." Carol held up a hand, cutting her off. "It's not just the auction, Mia. Your family reconciliation series was a disaster. Viewers don't trust you anymore. I'm sorry, but this decision is final." As Mia left the station, her personal belongings in a cardboard box, she realized the true extent of her fall from grace. Her phone buzzed incessantly with notifications. Every major network and news outlet in the country was reporting on her public meltdown and subsequent firing. Days turned into weeks as Mia desperately searched for work, but her reputation preceded her, doors slamming shut before she could even get a foot in. Finally, with bills piling up and options running out, she found herself in the dingy office of a small-town radio station. "Late-night DJ, huh?" the station manager said, eyeing her resume skeptically. "Bit of a step down from national news anchor, isn't it?" Mia swallowed her pride. "I'm willing to start wherever I can," she said, forcing a smile. As she settled into her new role, playing music for insomniacs and truckers in the dead of night, Mia couldn't help but reflect on how far she'd fallen. The glitz and glamour of her former life seemed like a distant dream now. Meanwhile, Derek's star continued to rise. Offers for interviews and speaking engagements poured in, many promising lucrative deals if he dished dirt on Mia. But Derek steadfastly refused them all. "I'm not interested in tearing anyone down," he told Sarah firmly. "My focus is on healing and growth. That's the story I want to tell." As summer turned to fall, Derek and Zoe began preparing for their move to Rhode Island. Derek's visiting artist position at RSD was set to begin in the new year, coinciding perfectly with the start of Zoe's freshman year, if she was accepted. One afternoon, as they sorted through years of accumulated memories, Derek came across an old family photo. It showed the three of them, Derek, Mia, and a much younger Zoe, smiling on a beach somewhere, looking for all the world like the perfect family. Derek stared at the photo for a long moment, a complex mix of emotions washing over him. Then, with a deep breath, he placed it in a box labeled "Past." "Everything okay, Dad?" Zoe asked, noticing his pause. Derek smiled, pulling her into a one-armed hug. "Everything's perfect, kiddo. Just remembering where we've been and looking forward to where we're going." In the final days before their move, Derek and Zoe threw themselves into one last project, a large-scale installation piece they titled Forging Ahead. It incorporated shattered glass fragments from Derek's earlier works, interwoven with Zoe's photographs, symbolizing their journey from brokenness to a new, stronger bond. As they stood back, admiring their completed work, Derek felt a sense of peace wash over him. They had weathered the storm, emerged stronger, and were now ready to embrace a new chapter of their lives. The story concludes on a crisp January morning, As Derek and Zoe stand before their completed Forging Ahead installation at RIS Welcome Exhibition, students and faculty mill about, admiring the piece and chatting with the artists. Derek looked at Zoe, seeing not just his daughter, but a talented young artist in her own right. She'd grown so much over the past year, facing challenges that would have broken many adults. "Ready for this?" he asked, squeezing her hand. Zoe grinned up at him, her eyes shining with excitement and determination. "Ready as I'll ever be. Let's do this, Dad." As they turned to greet the dean of the art department, Derek felt a surge of pride and hope. Whatever challenges lay ahead, he knew they would face them together, stronger and more united than ever. This is where our story comes to an end. Share your thoughts in the comment section. Thanks for your time. If you enjoy this story, please subscribe to this channel. Click on the video you see on the screen, and I will see you there.